So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to For the Love of Pomegranate podcast. Team Sheet Tantrum is back. I'm absolutely buzzing. Been looking forward to doing this one since this first competitive one, should I say, since we did the last competitive one at the end of last season, because we were one of the teams I think everybody would have said that didn't want the season to end, and I've been looking forward to this one since the fixtures came out. Paddy, you're obviously in a pub.
I am. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if it's loud.
It's not. No. It's all good. It's all good. But just in case anybody's wondering where Paddy is, Paddy's going to be enjoying today, win, lose or draw. I think because he's going to have a libation in his hands. So good for him. Good for him, indeed. But we're going to wait for obviously the team is going to be announced soon. A couple of rumours about Paddy that Ollie Watkins hasn't travelled with regards to, because of injury. He's on the bus. Just saw him get on the bus like about an hour ago. So he's definitely there. Whether he plays or not, I don't know whether there's anything in this. I've had about 7 or genuinely, I think I've easily had about 12 people DM me today asking me if I'm worried about Ollie Watkins going to Spurs. And I'm going to give 2 minutes for a bit of a rant, Paddy. Can I?
Go, off you go.
Mr. Levy and Tottenham Hotspur, if you're interested in the current best English out-and-out striker in the Premier League at the moment, he's going to cost you 100 million. And do you know why? Because there's recently been a Premier League club that sold the best current English out-and-out striker in the Premier League for 100 million. So there you go. There's your negotiating point. And secondly, if Ollie Watkins wants to make a lateral move to Spurs, let him. As long as the price is right. If the price is right, I think there's nobody in this team that's unsellable. Probably outside of Emi Martinez. I think there's nobody in this team that's unsellable. Just like I would imagine if you were to look at any other team outside of Man City and outside of Liverpool that have massive talisman. Anybody can be sold. Anybody can be replaced. That's my view on it. But I don't think we got to worry about it because I don't think Spurs are going to be coming for Ollie Watkins. So
if you want my 30 seconds worth,
yeah, absolutely.
There is absolutely zero chance of them coming for Ollie Watkins.
Zero.
Number one, they are not going to spend 100 million on one striker to replace another striker. They need to buy 3 or 4 to back up the project that Ange started.
Oh, I don't know.
And I can guarantee you that if they're in for a striker, it will be Kyogo from Celtic that Ange will buy. I guarantee you, and he'll cost them half the price of Ollie Watkins.
I don't know. I think they won't go down the 3 people to replace one person route because they did that with Bale and it didn't really work out. But I think the fans. Anyway, this is not a Spurs podcast and this isn't an idle speculation podcast. In the main, I have been known to do an idle speculation podcast in the past, but this one certainly isn't. And I think, look, today is going to be huge. Today is going to be absolutely huge. It's a lot of people were saying, I wish we got an easier start to the season, and I'm of the opposite opinion, Paddy. I'm like, bring them on early. We are as well prepared now as we will be in 5 weeks' time. Whether we play Newcastle now or whether we play them in 5 weeks' time, it's all a matter because in 5 weeks' time we still won't have Jacob Ramsey back. We still won't have Moreno back. We still won't have Emi Buendia back. So play him now. That's my view on it. Is and also from the point of view is that like we're riding the crest of a wave now. The players are feeling top of the world. Last year we played Bournemouth. And with all greatest respects to Bournemouth, and they proved to be a tricky customer at times last season, albeit they went away not so long afterwards and that's 9-0. Bournemouth absolutely Bournemouth beat us, and we, there is no such thing as an easy start. So we might as well play one of the big teams, go there, be an underdog. Aston Villa were 4-1 to win today. 4-1. Aston Villa against Newcastle. Go there, create an upset, come out of it with a draw if you have to. Absolutely fine. That's where I want this to be against the likes of Newcastle this season. And I'm delighted that we're playing them first game of the season.
I'm delighted we're playing them first game of the season too. I'd much prefer to be playing Newcastle than playing, say, the likes of Bournemouth or Luton or somebody else that came up, Sheffield United, where you're going into the unknown. We know exactly what we're going to get from Newcastle. We played them a few weeks ago, albeit with a fractured team that was subs rolling on and off, and things changed. They shipped 3 goals, we shipped 3 goals. We didn't learn a whole lot from it, but we know exactly what their players are about, with the exception of the couple that has gone in there, and we played against them just a few weeks ago. So the new players are there. We played against them. We played against them previously in the case of Harvey Barnes. Why not go to one of the favourites for Champions League positions and cause an upset in the first day of the season? Now, I do have the fear, and the fear is awful, of the first match of the season, because we don't seem to have a great record in the last few years. Or maybe that's just me.
2 years.
Yeah,
I think Stato had something up, Paddy, whereby we haven't lost the first game of the season 3 years in a row since like the 60s. I think Stato had something up like that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that's a good thing, and hopefully that will be a good omen for today, because I think at this stage, albeit I do believe we're going to win today, I would slap your hand off for a draw. I'll give you my prediction when I see what kind of team we have out. But at the moment, I'd slap your hand off for a draw, but I do believe we're going to make it.
Brett Riverboat says he can't think of a harder start to the season away to a team that is absolutely ownless at home for 10 plus years, and that's true. But how many of those records did Unai Emery break last year?
That's what he does best, isn't it?
That's what he does best. Like, Jesus, Paddy, there was a time we were wearing the 3rd shirt for fun, and not wearing it and hope, and in as a kind of a piss take. We weren't it for fun because we won games in it last season. But yes, I know what you mean, Brett. There, that obviously it hasn't been a happy hunting ground for us, but the worm always turns. And why can't it be today? And I think if you can't be optimistic for the first day of the season, then you can't be optimistic at all. And I'm full of optimism today. And I'm also full of a bit of piss and vinegar because, Paddy, we're coming up to 2 minutes before kickoff. But like, I just see there's like, I'm coming out swinging for anybody talking down Aston Villa in the last 24 hours. And it's not something I normally do, but like, I'm very much full of my phrase that I had at times last season when Emi Martinez came back from the World Cup. It was a case of extend your hand, stick up your middle finger and say, fuck them. And I'm very much that opinion today. I've woke up feeling fighty, if that makes sense. And I think Aston Villa should be too, because I think it's time to get our elbows out. Make sure that if somebody is patting us on the head and saying, oh, well done on last season, and yes, you might have a good season this season, but this and but that. Tell them there's no buts. There is no buts this year. We've got a great manager. We've made some great signings. We've a really settled team. There is no buts this year. We will be as good as we will be if we play to our potential. We don't need anything to go in our favour. Yes, maybe injuries, but name me a team that doesn't need injuries to go in their favour outside of probably the top 2. So I'm full of piss and vinegar from that point of view. I'm full of energy, and I'm really looking forward to this. Really looking forward to it.
I'd never have guessed you were pissed off by the way you reacted to that article I sent you earlier on today.
Yeah.
Look,
I didn't even text you back. I just stole it, put it up online. I went, fuck this.
Oh, did you? Right, okay. Yeah, look, I've been through this week. I think I've been more annoyed with what people were saying about us earlier in the week. At this stage, it's time for the players on the pitch to start doing the talking. And I think it's a time to put a few people back in their box by going and turning over Newcastle today. I think that's the only way we can do it, is on the pitch, because we have a nice little run after this tough game. So fingers crossed we can get something out of today and move on forward. So we have a team.
There's Mr. Diaby looking back at us. The starting 11 is out. It's Martinez, Cash, Konza, Mings, Digne starts, McGinn, Kamara, Douglas Luiz, Diaby, Bailey, and big news, Ollie Watkins is starting, just like we all thought he would. Absolutely fantastic. I thought that Bailey might play. I was in 2 minds. I thought in the pre-match, I think I said Bailey might play this one. I just thought that it might be the more natural fit for Bailey to play this one and Tielemans to be kept in reserve. I didn't really mind which one of them started from the point of view that as long as both of them were in the squad, I think there's options to change it up, and I'm okay with that. We're going to be playing an awful lot in the break, so I'm okay with having Bailey there. But once again, I'm going to say this every day until he starts really making his name irreplaceable on the team sheet. But Leon Bailey always needs to show up, and he doesn't show up all the time. But I'm always willing to give him a chance, if that makes sense. Because if Unai picks him, we have to back him. I think that's really kind of where we are with it at the moment. What do you think, Paddy?
Well, I think in Leon Bailey's case, today is the day where he's given an opportunity to go and make that short his own for the first few weeks of this season. It's a big day for him, and you know what? To have his old mate Diaby in there beside him is brilliant. So I hope to God that he can turn the corner, and today being the first day, albeit I went in on him a few times last season. He didn't exactly set the world on fire. Everybody deserves a second chance. If he can start doing it now, I'll be very, very happy.
Yeah. I always thought Dinian was going to start. Sorry, we'll go into the subs first.
Yeah.
The irreplaceable Robin Olsen in goals. All right, in first name and the sub sheet. Diego Carlos, Tielemans, Pau Torres, Chambers, Coutinho, Philogene, Archer, and Kellyman. Great to see Kellyman there. But also, there's real talent on that bench. There is real talent on that bench, and I think that talent goes all the way down as far as. I think everybody is talented there. Obviously, we don't know what Kellyman can do, and to a lesser degree, we don't know what Philogene and Archer can do in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But there's nobody on that bench there that you wouldn't outfield player that you wouldn't kind of throw in and go, right, this could be a change and the team that I can get behind, and this is a change that could be a positive change at 60 minutes, at 70 minutes, and that's huge, I think.
Yeah, I don't envisage you're going to see Kellyman or maybe even Archer today. Depending if Ollie Watkins was to pick up a knock or anything, you'd see Archer or, but there might be no need. I envisage that he wouldn't take a risk on those two at this stage of the season. If he were 2-0 up next week against Everton, yes, I'd absolutely see them come in. But it's a mad situation to be in, looking at the likes of Pau Torres, the likes of Coutinho sitting on our bench. It's just amazing. Diego Carlos, amazing stuff, absolutely amazing stuff. It just shows how far we've come, in the 5-year project to be sitting here, and our management and Monchi still talking about buying more players. How anybody could be negative on a day like today is absolutely beyond me. So
let's wait till 7:20 at least.
Well, Watkins is playing. People were saying he didn't even travel. Stupid rumours put people in bad form. That's why I turned off all my notifications about 2:00 today. Because I was going, why are people getting annoyed on today of all days? It's supposed to be a new dawn, a new hope. It's time to get behind the team and not be so bloody negative. If they lose, we're allowed to go. We're allowed to shout and roar. But look, all is good. We'll go and enjoy today and hopefully get points out of it. Have we any news on the Newcastle team?
You're asking, you shall receive, Paddy, because here's the Newcastle team. Pope in goals, Trippier, Schär, Botman, and Dan Burn is in our left back again to reacquaint himself with John McGinn. Bruno Guimaraes, Tonali, Jolinton, Almiron, and Gordon play behind Isaac. So Harvey Barnes doesn't make the starting team. Livramento doesn't make the starting team. Elliot Anderson doesn't make the starting team. Their substitutes are Dubravka, Lascelles, Wilson, Target, Barnes, Livramento, Murphy, Anderson, and Longstaff. Paddy, obviously they've gone with their big signing who's been there longer, I suppose, in Tonali in midfield, and somebody who's going to need a lot of minding in there. That midfield trio of Bruno Guimaraes, Tonali, and Jolinton, there's a lot of heft in there. We're going to need to outwork that midfield three, and it's going to be tough. Now, they aren't the fastest in the world, but we're going to need to outwork them, and we're going to need to find a way to get past that midfield three to start our attacks. Interesting.
Well, the way of getting past that midfield three is by playing the likes of Bailey and Diaby, who are going to pull out wide and make space down those channels. And for Watkins to just tuck in between, the edges of the two boxes, as he keeps talking about. That's where we'll find the space. If we can impose the high line on them and play those balls that Dougie Luiz has been playing during pre-season, we will get chances. We'll 100% get chances. But the most important thing is, whoever those chances fall to, they better bloody take them. I watched, God, drew a blank. Oh, Brennan Johnson today. Not as far as not getting a sniff of the ball, they get one chance and couldn't make it work. You have to get at this level. You have to take those chances. So it's the difference between failure and getting 3 points today to somebody not taking the chances when they're created. So we will get chances. We just need those three boys up front need to be firing on all cylinders.
Yeah. I think so too. Marie Boy says Spurs are sniffing around McGinn and Watkins. We said this at the start. I'd like to put it on record. I'm sniffing around. What's it? Noel Connaughton says he's sniffing around Jennifer Aniston as well, but it ain't gonna happen there. That's what it is. So it's yeah. Look, we'll. I'm not too worried. I can't see McGinn going to Spurs. I can't see Watkins going to Spurs. But as I say, we will have too much time to talk about transfers after this game. Matt Hanlon, thank you so much. Points for podcasters. Great to be going again. Optimism says 2-1 with both Diaby and Watkins
Cheers, Matt.
starting. His best season ever. Almiron will nets since a bit too pacey for Dina. I loved it. I love that. I love it, Matt. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. And really appreciate the super chat as well. Dina, yes, I was saying I always felt that Dina would start this game, Paddy. I always felt he would start.
Too.
I know a lot of people thought that Pau Torres might, not because Pau Torres is poor or anything like that, but I just always felt that we would go with a traditional back four away from home. I didn't think it was the time to go with the left back anyway, specifically. But I thought going with the traditional back four was the way to go. What's your view on that?
Well, my view specifically on this is that we, in this game in particular, we need to have players who are up the Premier League pace, and I think it's going to take Pau Torres a couple of weeks to do that. So I didn't feel that today was the day to throw him in there. So from that reason alone, I'm happy to see Dina in there. Pau Torres, more than happy to bring him on if needs be, if somebody gets injured or whatever. But it's going to take a game against Burnley or a game against Everton to get him up to speed. Just to, like, I know he's training in it every day, but when you're in that white hot atmosphere of 50,000 people vying for blood, you need to be up to the pace of the game.
Matt Hans, thank you for reminding me. Get Anthony Gordon's mug off the screen, says Matt Hans. Okay, I better do that. Thanks for reminding me. Luton have just scored, it says as well.
Just go in there. It's a penalty.
Was a penalty?
Funnily enough, the players surrounded the referee for the penalty decision, and there was no yellow card dished out.
Wow. I thought there was, and there was assistants up on the sideline with managers as well in the Arsenal Forest game. No yellow cards either. So
there's my referee's pre-match rant. There you go, Howard Webb, and all your talk during the week. Nothing's
happened so far. But I think I think the one about the assistant is a city rule anyway. But anyway, we'll get into that at another stage. Everybody, if you want to put your score prediction into the chat, I'll do a roundup of it in a moment because, as I say, I want everybody to go in, get seated, get settled, get to their pubs. Want Paddy to get in another 2 points anyway before the start of the game. And as you can probably see, coming in and out of the screen here is the handle of a pram. So yes, I am double jobbing here at the moment. So get your score predictions in there, and we'll do a rundown of them. First one of the season. Collington says, "Cheers, Neil. Herself has left me." After I'm very, very hopeful of the game today, Paddy. I know I've given a 1-0 Aston Villa win here today. I think Villa are going to be really tight at the back. I think we're going to be stingy out at the back. And I think we've got pace to burn now going forward in Bailey and Diaby, and Watkins no slouch either. I think we're going to see us trying to get the two centre halves to cross over each other, Ashara and Botman. Difficult to do, but we did it last season. It's how we got some of the goals. We're going to attack that left-hand side, or their left-hand side of John McGinn again. I think White Kill worked, something that worked the last time. I think they will probably park Joe Linton on that left-hand side to stop McGinn doing that. Maybe have Joe Linton kick McGinn a couple of times at the start, which plays into our favour. Going to get a few frees, kill the momentum if we start to break down that side. So I think there's a lot of things we got going for us here in this. And I'm still sticking with my 1-0, Paddy. And I think our goal is going to come from midfield. And yes, I'm classing Bailey and Diaby as midfielders as well before anybody asks me. So what do you think, Paddy, now that you've seen it?
I do believe Newcastle will score a goal. I'm going to go with a 2-1 victory, and I'm going to go for Watkins and Diaby. I think today is the day to get Diaby firing from the word goal. We've seen him score goals in pre-season and just do them at ease. So I'd love to see him open his account today. I'd love to see Watkins get off to a good start. Um, Obviously, there's a lot to contend with in this Newcastle team. They're well
Yes.
marshalled, well drilled. Hopefully, there's only one coach on the sideline coaching them today, and we have a strong fourth official telling Jason Tyndall to get off our screens. But yeah, it's the. I think it's probably one of the best opening days we could possibly have. It's a good chance to go and show what we're made of.
Yeah.
It's a good chance to lay down a marker for the season and to lay down a marker to those players who are sitting on the bench and say, this is where you need to be at. Get it, show us that you're capable of going there and getting a win like this, and you keep your short. That's how this works. So fingers crossed, and I am hopeful that we can go and get a 2-1 win.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so too. So here comes the roundup of your scores, the scores that you've given us. Before we do that, Paul Miller, thank you so much. Where's it gone to, Paul? Thank you so much for that super chat. Really appreciate it. 2-1. I'm very hopeful. Agree with Paddy. And then Paul is getting on the beer as well. So I love to see it. Love to see that. So here's your scores. Rachel says 1-1. Micah Richards says 1-1 as well. Good to see you back, Micah, for the new season. Rex Cole says 2-2. Sai says 2-2 as well. Villa Till I Die 82 says 3-2. Stephen Wright says 3-2. Paddy, I'm just going to mute you there for a second. Love Bleed says 2-2. Oh, Love Bleed says 2-2. Marine Boy says 0-0. John Steele says 3-2 to Villa. Jordy Villa says 2-0 Villa. C Lion Eye says 2-1 to the mighty Villa. Lloyd 11 says 2-2. Brazilian Line says Hart says 3-1 Villa. Head says 1-1 draw. Stephen Brown says 1-1. Salubrious Head says 2-2 with McGinn and Watkins. Audrey Lynch says 2-1 Watkins and McGinn. 3-1 Villa. Come on the lad says Dave Bond. Neil Bates says 3-1 Villa. Or Dave O'Rourke says 1-1. My young fella here beside me is saying 1-0 to Villa as well. I think if you can hear him on the camera. Gavin Donnelly is saying 2-1 to Villa. Dreamy Villa is saying 4-2. David Moore saying 2-0 up to Villa. Anna Grady saying 3-1 to Villa. Shane Coleman is saying 1-0 to Villa. Captain Nugget is saying 3-0 to Villa with Watkins 2 and Diaby getting a goal. Spicy Pricey says 3-2 Villa. Andrew Monroe says 2-1 Villa. Tough game, but we've got Unai. Nicola Hayes doesn't give a prediction, but begging for a win. Chris Corfield says 1-0 Villa, up the Munster lines, excited for the season. Paul Crombie says 4-3 Villa. Now, that's one that we might be first on match of the day if that was the case. Ty Doyle says 3-1 Villa today. Come on, the Villa boys. Michael Richards again clarifying that Bailey scores for us. Pete Still says 2-1 to Villa. Andy Mack says 2-1 to Villa. Brendan Townsend says 2-0 to Villa. Somebody's predicting a Tonali red card. I wonder, has that ever happened? Obviously somebody's got Riccardo on their debut, but I wonder, has an Italian midfielder on their debut on the first day of the season for Newcastle ever been sent off? That's one for you. That's one for NUFC Stato, if he's listening in here. Sargentus says 3-1 Villa. T8 says 3-0 Villa. Midnight Mark says 3-2 Villa. We've got 3-1 to Villa from Cat Cannon. 3-1 Watkins, McGinn and Diaby. Tom says 1-0 to Villa with Diaby scoring. Sai is saying Coutinho will come on and get one. Gazok says 1-1. David Bowden says 3-2 to Villa. The McBee says 2-1 to Villa with Diaby and McGinn with a couple of scorchers. Daniel Harris says 3-1 to Villa. Mick Ducati says 2-1 to Villa. Standing on the word says 2-2 draw. 2-0 Newcastle. Oh, Newcastle too old and slow, says Keith Horrigan. And Captain K says 2-0 Bosch. Lena Peterson says 2-2. Lena, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and it is Lena, and I'm pronouncing it correctly. But you said 2-2 all the same. Savas Valley says 2-0. Diaby the Goat says 3-2. Diaby Masterclass. Daddy H says Unai Special 1-0. Patrick Drummy 2-0 Villa. Michael Smith 2-1 Villa. Diaby to score. James Carr says 3-1 all day. Ronan Ward says 2-1 to the Villa. I hope you get to see that in the sun out there, Ronan, as well. Professor Emery II says 2-0 to Villa. Darren C says 4-3 to Villa. Daniel Donnelly says 2-0 to Villa. 7 points to 2-14. Vinny is back. Thank you, Gaming. Skin Day says 3-2. Definitely going to be a tough game. Matt Parker says 2-2. Jared Corwin says 2-1 to Villa. Mark Lee says 6-0 to the Toon. Welcome, Mark. I hope you're enjoying it. As I said, it's going to be a really tough game, and I hope it's actually a great game, but I do hope we beat you, obviously, because I'm an Aston Villa fan, and that goes without saying. Amaris De Silva says 1-0 to Villa. AMZ Tiago says 1-1. McGinn to score, and that is the end of our roundup. Jesus, that was great. It's great to get the old lungs lubricated up like that again for a very fast telecaster run through again. So thank you so much to everybody who popped in a score there as well. Really, really appreciate it. And thank you everybody for watching. We've 412 people here, and we will be back with a post-game show as well, right on the final whistle. We will go live right on the final whistle. I think if you look at StreamYard, or if you look at YouTube, it says like 7:50. That's obviously the incorrect time. So that time will be changed. It's going to be 7:20. We're going to go live at, and we will see you here for a post-match preview, a post-match review. I don't know, will Paddy be here for it or not? He might be.
I'll do my best
to the wind. He'll do his best, but I will be here anyway, and hopefully we'll be talking about an Aston Villa win. So that's it. Aston Villa, everybody's excited. First game of the season against Newcastle on primetime TV. Wouldn't want it any other way. And as I said, I'm going for a 1-0 Aston Villa win. Any last bit before we leave, Paddy? Any last nuggets you want to leave us with?
No, just hope we keep up the positivity and get behind the lads. That's the most important thing today, because 3 points today would be absolutely massive.
Excellent. I'm exactly the same. It would be a great start to the season as well. So once again, thank you so much everybody for watching, and thank you everybody for listening in as well. Really appreciate your time. If you do like this, give it a thumbs up. If you enjoyed the what you've seen here and you want to see more, subscribe to the podcast as well. Really appreciate your time as always. Get yourself sorted, get yourself settled to watch Villa now. And as I say, we will be back for a post-match show, bang on the final whistle. So in the meantime, everybody, stay safe, stay healthy. All that's left to say is up the Villa, and let's bring home 3 points.